listeners and viewers from across the Auburn-Opelika Megaplex and around the world today, however you may be tuning in, whether that be on your terrestrial radio antenna through the information superhighway at weglfm.com or tuning in after the fact on transistor.fm or Eagle Eye TV or listening to our podcast. We are happy to have you here in the booth with us for Auburn's only student-run drive time morning show. And now, of course, we are broadcasting live from the campus of Auburn University, where it is a lovely 50 degrees and sunny on this chilly Wednesday morning, welcoming you into Compact Discourse, of course. And for the first time since 1995, we can say that the champions of the world in Major League Baseball are the Atlanta Braves. So congratulations to the Atlanta Braves and their fan base and their city and everyone that put in any kind of effort to make that championship happen. So today is a celebration of the Atlanta Braves and all they have accomplished in the past year, all the adversity they've overcome, and how they shattered the narrative and won the championship with just 88 regular season wins. So, Davis, I'll throw it over to you. How are you feeling today about the Braves or anything else?
I'm feeling good. I'm happy for you that the Braves won. Happy for all Braves fans. Yesterday, some good omens came around for fellow Braves fan. You're the other Braves fan here. He's your fellow Braves fan. Will Root had a good omen yesterday, I feel like. He found a potentially signed Hank Aaron card in a book I was letting him borrow. I feel like once that happened, it was kind of wraps there for me in my mind.
That's a W right there. A good omen indeed. I had my Braves flag stolen off my window yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah. So, and I don't even care because I can replace it with a World Championship flag now.
That's a good point.
Don't care.
Are the magnets still there?
The magnets were still there. Someone just wanted that Braves flag. You know, at the celebration at Tumors, I saw someone with a suspiciously similar flag, but I'm not gonna point any fingers because we're world champs.
You should have been like, where'd you get that? I had one just like that in my house. It could have been just like an episode of something I've seen.
I'm sure you'd be able to find a tie between anything that happens in an episode of something you've seen.
You know what episode it is.
I know. Go ahead, Alex. How you feeling?
I mean, as not a big baseball or Braves fan, I cannot claim to feel like you or any Braves fans in Auburn are feeling right now, but just a very exciting time for sports in general and for baseball. In the last 8 World Series, 8 different World Series champions. Parity in sports at its best. Also, apparently the last 3 times the Braves won a World Series, Auburn's starting quarterback's last name was Nix, so that's pretty exciting. 1957, 95, and, 2021.
1957?
So, yes, somebody did the research on that. Somebody initially just claimed it was Patrick Nix and Bo Nix, but turns out 1957 starting quarterback and eventual national champion, his last name was Nix. I cannot remember his first name.
I'm looking into it.
But that was also, I thought that was pretty cool. Just very exciting time again, 88 wins, and really, despite being a 6-game series, I would say a pretty dominant end to a series that they were in control of most of the way. I mean, I feel like Game 5 was almost an isolated incident, if the word could be used, because when the Braves were at their best, the Astros did not seem that they could keep up with them most of the time, I would say.
Yeah, the Astros did not really seem to stand a chance when the Braves were firing on all cylinders, and the Braves having to overcome a lot of adversity, not only in the season at large, but in this season or series in particular, of course, with Charlie Morton going down with a broken leg, and then Max Fried having a scare at the beginning of this game. It seems that the Astros kind of had to fight with everything they had to even stay in the series, and the Braves were just kind of cruising along for a majority of it.
Exactly. Like, I mean, even with Game 5, for example, everybody knew that even though they wanted them to win at Atlanta because how cool it would have been, I think a lot of people acknowledge that the Braves, at least in terms of their pitching and their bullpen, was not at its best for that game. And even then, they still were able to score 5 runs. Sure, it was off 2 hits, essentially, actually. But I think that's just a really interesting thing to see. And you don't want to look ahead, but how these two teams will fare next season, it seems like they're already going to be ready to come back, even with the Braves making it all the way to the World Series with a number of injuries and missing pieces. So, going to be an interesting next year. But, of course, right now the celebration continues.
Of course. At this point, I would like to remind our audience that if any point in the next hour or so you feel so inclined to ask us a question, drop a hot take about the Braves or anything else, or in the highly unlikely event that we get something wrong, if you'd like to correct us, you can go ahead and call in at 334-844-WEGL. That's 334-844-9345 on your touchtone keypad. You can also send us a tweet at CDiscAU, and we'd love to get back to you about anything you would like to bring up. So just keep that in mind as you're listening today, and thank you for listening today as we know you have a lot of options when it comes to how you can spend your Wednesday morning. So we thank you for choosing to spend it with Compact Discourse. All right, let's break down this Atlanta Braves versus Houston Astros Game 6 here that took place in Houston after a travel day last night beginning at 7 p.m. Both pitchers really were locked in for the first 2 innings. I think both of them had around 20 pitches after the first 2 innings, which is unbelievable performance by both of them, which you can expect from Fried, but I think Garcia as well, who was just supposed to be an opener, he was kind of pitched like a 3-inning game. I think he performed extremely well, and it wasn't until he made a mistake in the 3rd inning that he showed any cracks of not pitching up to complete dominant performance. And as well, Max Fried was able to get out of a jam in the 1st inning as well. So I can imagine the game going a lot differently if Max Fried doesn't get out of that jam in the 1st inning. So it really shows that every inning counts.
I was pretty happy with how Max Fried performed. I was kind of worried based on his last performance that he'd come in, maybe be a little shaky. He even had that. I was kind of also worried in the 1st inning when he had that tag up at first base where he got spiked on the ankle.
Yeah.
I thought he might be out there.
That was a scary moment, especially after what happened to Charlie Morton.
Yeah.
I was worried the Braves were about to not have a starting pitcher. Maybe Ian Anderson would be their only starting pitcher at that point if Max Fried goes down.
He took it like a champ, went back out there, closed out the inning pretty handedly. The rest of that, and then he pitched really well. I remember I saw a graphic comparing him to Tom Glavine's performance.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the specifics of it, but I think it was just comparing how many innings he's pitched based on hits and stuff in the World Series. So, that's a pretty good company to be in. I'm not going to say for sure what the stat was, of course. But, yeah, I think he did great. Him and Jorge Solaire is the big reason y'all won that game yesterday to me.
Max Fried goes 6 innings of scoreless. He has no earned runs, no walks, issued 6 strikeouts, and only conceded 4 hits. That really got back to classic post-All-Star break Max Fried, unlike what we saw in his previous appearances in the postseason so far, especially that Game 2 back in Houston, where he kind of let the atmosphere get the better of him, I think, and just the Astros bats, if they can get hot, they start rolling. He did not even let them get hot at all last night, not giving them a sniff, and was able to punch out 6 of them. And Snicker let him go pretty deep into the night, but there wasn't any reason to pull him as he went 6 scoreless innings. And the Braves had 4 great relievers lined up that they could have rolled out, but Snicker made the decision to keep Fried rolling and run with a hot hand.
Yeah. All right. How was the atmosphere last night for you where you were watching? I saw that Tumors was rolled.
I was watching it at 1716 because Moe's was closed for some reason.
Really?
Yeah. Missed out. They missed out.
That seems like
That's all
a
I'm saying.
very odd business decision.
They do that sometimes. They just close.
Well, yeah, but it's like you can close on a random Tuesday, but closing on World Series Game 6, possibly a clincher in a city that is majority one of the teams in the World Series fan base, seems bold.
I'm sure they wanted to be open.
I don't get it. But so we went across the street to 1716. There were probably about 100 people there, which it wasn't dead, but it wasn't shoulder to shoulder. So it was a good crowd, very loud crowd when something happened. But I was not expecting the number of people that showed up at Tumors last night. I was honestly shocked that. I thought the initial crowd that showed up when I did was going to be just about it, but people continued to flood in almost like it was a football game, almost to that level.
I drove by like 11:30 last night. It was still pretty packed. Maybe not packed, but there's still quite a few people there for almost midnight.
Yeah, for an hour after the game ended.
Yeah.
So pretty impressive crowd at Tumors, and they had a lot to cheer for as the Braves' offense was what, in tandem with Max Fried's almost flawless performance last night, is what propelled the Braves to their 6th victory, or their 4th victory in the series in Game 6, and clinched the World Series for the Bravos. So we're going to talk about the offense and a lot more on the other side of a break. When we get back, we'll talk about Solaire's home run, which unbelievably only went 446 feet despite leaving the ballpark physically. We also got to talk about Freddy Freeman finally getting his ring as he got 2 hits to put this one on ice down the stretch. So we'll talk about the offense and more when we get back from a break here on Compact Discourse. I'm Jack, joined by Alex and Davis. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 minutes with some more of the show.
These are the moments you remember.
The kick is good! Auburn wins!
These are the sounds you celebrate.
Fastball driven. Deep left center field. David Ross, you have company!
Whether it's the stadium, the arena, or the ballpark.
Auburn 75. Kentucky 70. I think I'll storm the court. There goes Davis. Oh my God.
Your home for Auburn sports is the Auburn Sports Network.
Making it green is making sure the air in your home is healthy for your family to breathe. Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN. Preserve your family's health and well-being. Get your home tested. That's living healthy and green. Make it green. Green, green, green. Make it green. It's your home, it's your dream. It's your dream. Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN.
A message from the U.S. EPA.
Here's farmer and landowner John Prue.
We purchased the land about 3 years ago, and there was an old farmstead on there with trees. We were going to clear the land so we could farm through it. We thought we knew where the pipe was, so we didn't call to get it located. The work on our property led to the damage of a light crude pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety Campaign.
91.1 WEGL FM, Auburn University.
Trust Trev is all I have to say about the World Series. I'm Jack Hart, joined by Davis and Alex here on a Wednesday morning. We're celebrating the Atlanta Braves championship over the Houston Astros. For the first time since 1995, the Braves have won it all. And Trevor Plouffe, he called it March 31st, 2021. Coach Trevor Plouffe says Atlanta Braves over Houston Astros in 6. And no words for that prediction other than in this house we trust Coach Trev.
It looked risky throughout the season, but he stuck with it all the way through. Hey, as John Boy fans, I'm pretty happy to say that we were on the cusp of that. That's not the right word. We were on the forefront of that.
The front lines.
Front lines.
All right, we are going to talk about the offense real quick and how the Braves put 7 up on the board with 7 hits, and how the Astros got held scoreless despite getting 6 guys to get a hit. And then Davis is going to share with us which artifacts from the game will be headed to Cooperstown for the Hall of Fame. All right, well, we can't talk about this game without talking about Jorge Solaire's home run to deep left field that he hit off of Garcia that scored Albies and Rosario, who had gotten on base previously in the top of the 3rd inning. I mean, Solaire fouls one off that is a very similar pitch to the one he knocked out, and so he knows what he's looking for. And Garcia makes another mistake, sends a one belt level, and Solaire absolutely tattoos it to the left field and stands there at the plate for a moment, which I thought something had gone amiss, but Solaire was just admiring his moonshot. And the Braves are just like that, are up 3-0, just like they were in Game 2, or Game 1 rather.
So when we were watching it, we were a little bit behind, so we could hear all the people in your apartment complex start freaking out. So we knew something crazy was going to happen, but I did not expect it to go out the park. I'll say
Who
that.
did you guys watch it with?
I watched it with Chris and Grayson.
Ah,
We
okay.
watched it. And we also watched Event Horizon and 13 Ghosts last night, too.
A
Wow, busy night.
Yeah, busy night. All at one time, obviously.
Mm.
The 1,000 TVs.
And then Dansby Swanson in the 5th inning, he hit a 2-run knock. Albies, who does a great job of getting on base for this kind of situation, was of course on base. That added 2 runs to the total to make it 5-0. Later in the game, that was the same inning, Freddy Freeman doubles to deep left center field in that corner there in Houston where balls just drop in for doubles and triples all the time. Freddie hit one right there. He got way under it and sent it a mile high and far enough for Solaire to score as that one caromed off the wall. And in the end, it was Freddy Freeman who put the icing on the cake by homering to deep center field, 416. Just went to the Phillips gas can there in center field in Houston, and that one added an extra point to that touchdown lead to make it 7-0 Braves, and that's where our tally stood as the final pitch was thrown. 7-0 Braves, dominating performance. Astros never really had a sniff at this one, and 17 total bases to the Astros, 6.
Yeah.
Pretty unbelievable.
Boom.
The Astros were ice cold. Even like when they had to make a run, I mean, I think they went 3 up and 3 down in the bottom of the 8th, I believe. And that's where I was like, all right, well, that's it. And then I decided to go to bed. I mean, it was.
You didn't watch the reaction to them winning?
Oh no, okay.
I stayed just to see that.
Let me be clear. I then, as I got in my room, I was ready to go. I was like, all right, let me pull up Twitter 1 second and find it all, and that's what I did.
To be fair, I didn't really watch anything other than the final pitch. It all just kind of
meshes together.
Yeah, a lot of hugs and crying at that point.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I can watch that again later, but I can't.
He makes a good point.
I can't hug and cry. I mean,
you could. You could.
It's a little more socially acceptable.
It was done in Baton Rouge. It could be done again.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, we just need another curse to be broken.
I was about to say, we'll add one to the list.
All right, Davis, what is heading up to Cooperstown from this series?
First off, so Jorge Solaire's home run ball is not.
Man.
Here is a picture of it, though. I have the picture of
gosh.
it here, if you'd like to see it. I'm not sure if that's a fan or if that's a team official or something that has it, but that is the ball. There is a mark on it. I'm not sure if that's from the bat or hitting the ground.
Ah, yeah.
But it has been found. It is in someone's possession. I'm sure he'll get that back to Solaire eventually. But I do have the list of things going to Cooperstown. I'll start off with the 2 things from the Astros that are going first. We have Yordan Alvarez's batting helmet from the postseason, just overall, and Dusty Baker's cap from the regular season are going to Cooperstown this year.
Why Yordan, though?
He was the MVP of the ALCS.
I wasn't really watching that one.
I wasn't either.
I was just watching him go like 0 for 30 in the World Series.
So, but he's been good in all playoffs except the World Series so far.
I mean, he's a good player. I mean, Zach Greinke had more hits than him in the
Zach
World Series,
Greinke's
though.
batting helmet's what I was going to say.
I think that'd be pretty interesting to have, but to the winner go the spoils, or to the winner the spoils are taken from.
Very well.
These Braves artifacts are headed. We have Nick Anderson's Game 3 ball and cap. That was his first start, if I'm not mistaken. Was that someone else?
Nick Anderson?
Or Ian Anderson? What's his name?
Oh, Ian Anderson. Well, he's a rookie, so yeah.
Yeah. So that's the reason they got his ball and cap. They have Freddie Freeman's bat from last night, Max Fried's spikes from last night, Eddie Rosario's glove. It doesn't specify what game, so just in general. Will Smith's spikes from last night, Jorge Solaire's batting helmet, Dansby Swanson's cap, and Brian Snitker's jersey are going to Cooperstown. So I'm not really sure how they choose what goes. I feel like they could have maybe gotten Jock Peterson's pearls. That would have been something cool to see.
I think they need to ask him for those. That'd be hilarious and awesome.
But yeah, that's what's going to Cooperstown. What else? Do you think anything else should be going there? Maybe Jock Peterson's bat as well.
You mean Anthony Rizzo's bat?
You got it.
Altuve's buzzer, Correa's trash can. I mean, there are plenty of artifacts you could pick from the night. I'm just excited that it's going to live in history. What a amount of talent was amassed in this World Series cannot be understated. That's what I think.
And just remember, the Hall of Fame's a museum.
That is true. Why does Ohio get all the Hall of Fame? Is there a reason?
Because all the sports start in Ohio, and Cooperstown's in New York, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's
You're
that's
thinking
on
of
me.
Canton.
That's on. No, I mean, somebody just told me recently that it was in Ohio, and I was like, oh, sure, that makes sense. So I didn't actually check. Oops.
You always got to check.
Yes, evidently I do.
Always got to check, Alex.
So the Atlanta Braves are champions again for the first time since 1995 after winning 14 straight pennants back in the day and only having one championship to show for it. They have won 4 straight division titles and have just one to show for it right now. So they're already off to a better pace than they were before. Although I think when they won in '95, that was their 4th division championship. So who knows? Maybe they're on pace for 10 straight division championships later on in the future. So excited about that. I mean, I'm also excited about Tyler Matzek's performance as well. He went 2 full innings, just conceded 1 hit, and he struck out 4 of the 6 batters he faced. So Tyler Matzek, really, I mean, I was hoping we'd see maybe Luke Jackson or AJ Minter or any of those other guys on the so-called night shift that the Braves have been liking to roll out of the bullpen. But, I mean, Tyler Matzek, you can't say enough about what he's done in this series. He really helped the Braves stave off the Dodgers in Game 6. As the Dodgers tried to come back, he really dug in and stopped the Dodgers from getting any semblance of offense down the stretch. And he did the exact same for the Houston Astros, striking out 4 of his 6 outs in his 2 innings pitched in the 7th and 8th. And then Will Smith doing his job. I believe Will Smith was not pitched every 9th inning the Braves were up this postseason and did not concede any runs. So,
Heck yeah.
I will say about something you said earlier. Their win in 1995 was their 3rd division championship in the last 4th division championship in the last 5 years. They did not win in 1994, which I believe was the strike-shortened season.
Yes, nobody won.
Right, exactly. So it was actually still, and they did tear them up. That was though their 4th, as you said, and they did end up going all the way until 2005.
Nice. So I mean, postseason, Will Smith, 11 appearances, 11 innings pitched, 5 hits, no runs, no earned runs, no home runs, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. So, unbelievable performance by Will Smith and the rest of the Braves pitching staff. Nobody really got shelled. So, I mean, after so many years of the Braves bullpen and pitching being lackluster and the reason that they were falling out of games, they kind of saved them in this postseason. So it's a bit poetic that they were able to do so in such a convincing fashion. So even Tucker Davidson, who I'm sorry, not Tucker Davidson, the one who started the Game 5, the rookie Dylan Lee, even he was put in a difficult situation and did not crumple under the pressure. So it was a great performance by the Braves pitching staff to keep things under wraps enough for the Braves to come out victorious in the series. And you look at the scores, you got the 3-2 game and the 2-0 game, and those scores against the Astros are few and far between, and it's only if you have an elite pitching staff that you're able to put on a performance like that. So unbelievable performance by the Braves pitching staff, and it was the key to the victory, I think, for the Braves, because you only needed, with the pitching staff that you had last night, you only needed 1 run to win this game, and they got 7. So that just shows how dominating this team has been.
Truly. I think someone needs to go check in on Trevor Plouffe's house. He has like a time machine or something.
Yeah, someone's up there.
He's got something he's not telling us.
Especially, the Braves. The Astros, I get. They've been to, 3 World Series in the past 5 years. They've been completely dominant in the American League West. No one's really challenged them. But the Braves, they were down. They weren't above 500 until after the All-Star break. They were 111 games into the season before they even broke 500. The Mets were leading the division for the majority of the year, and the Braves are able to win the division in convincing fashion and then take on 2 not greater opponents in terms of record in the Brewers and Dodgers in the National League and come away victorious for both of those series pretty handedly, not even going to the full 5 or 7 games. Unbelievable.
It's one of the greatest predictions I've seen.
The 88-win Atlanta Braves in the regular season are victorious once again in the World Series for the first time since '95. So that is going to bookend our baseball discussion unless you out there in Radio Land have anything you would like to say. I'm sure we could get Jacob Hillman's take on what else is going on in Braves country, as well as, Will Root, Harrison Tarr, J.P. Williams, the rest of the guys I watched the game with last night. Big Braves fans all around, so we're all excited together, and we're hoping to continue the celebration throughout the week. So stay tuned to Compact Discourse for the rest of the day and throughout the week for more content there. When we come back, I know Alex wants to talk about the college football playoff rankings, including who was snubbed, who was coddled, and everything in between, as we have a new top 25 in the realm of college football. So we will talk about all of that and more when we return to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM and WeGLFM.com.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
If you've been working, you've already proven yourself in ways you may not even notice. Managing your time, communicating effectively, and working as part of a team are key skills that employers value. At alabamaworks.com, you can find out how to build on your experience to up your game and get the job you really want, because it's out there. Start your new success story at alabamaworks.com.
Sponsored by Alabama Works, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
They really appreciate what she's done as a sister as well as a soldier and, supporting their country.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join.
Family members that are soldiers in the Army National Guard inspire and influence, setting a path for others.
It's validating knowing that, I kind of did my part to make sure this is what they actually wanted and that they feel the same way I do. I'm really proud that we get to help shape the future, and I know that my sisters are going to be amazing soldiers.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share in.
A lot of pride, and they're just out there doing something every day and then serving their country as well.
I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture.
Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard, aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Watch out for people riding bikes. It's not just courteous. Now it's the law. The new 3 Feet for Safety Act requires that drivers give at least 3 feet of space when passing bicyclists. More and more people are commuting and touring Alabama on bicycles. As the number of cyclists on our roads increases, so does the need for safe driving. So slow down and give cyclists 3 feet of room. Follow the rules of the road and watch out for each other. Learn more at drivesafealabama.org. Sponsored by ALDOT, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
This is WEGL FM Auburn.
welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I am your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Alex Houston, Davis Carroll, and nobody else. So we are jumping right back into the show. Thank you for joining us on a Wednesday morning. If you can't get enough of WEGL, you are in luck because today WEGL will be out on the concourse from 10 to 2, hanging out, asking questions, getting some interviews. A lot of fun to be had out on the concourse with WEGL. So
Davis and I will be there.
I think we'll all be there at some point or another from 10 to 2 today. So if you're on campus, be sure to swing by and say hello and answer one of our trivia questions. I don't know what's going on out there, but
there's going to be a sign for you to write down your favorite song on it, and there's also going to be a time lapse.
Yes, and the sign is a chance to get your song featured on WGL radio. You know, I imagine we have most of the songs in the rotation, but if we don't, get that one on there.
Could be big. So come see us. We'll be out on the concourse from 10 to 2 today. If you feel so inclined, come and drop by, and we'd love to have you. And marketing director Aaron working super hard to provide you with some great content and fun stuff like that. All right. Well, it is November, which means it is time for the College Football Playoff Ranking Committee to do their thing.
And suck.
Whatever you think their thing is, they are once again doing it. They seem to be pretty consistent with whatever they have going on. But we do have a new top 25. And it is as follows. Number 25 is the Pittsburgh Panthers, coming off a loss to Miami. Number 24 is San Diego State, coming off a loss to number 23, Fresno State. So I guess the committee thinks that these teams
are good,
are still good despite coming off of losses. Number 22 would be Iowa, another team coming off a loss that they think is good. And they lost to number 21, Wisconsin. Number 20, Minnesota, who I've not seen ranked at all in the AP poll this year. And then NC State, Kentucky, Mississippi State is 19, 18, 17. 17, Mississippi State's a bit of an oddball pick. They have not been ranked in the AP poll yet this year. Number 16 is Ole Miss. Number 15 is BYU. Number 14 is A&M. 13 is your Auburn Tigers, who just swapped places with A&M in the AP poll. 12 is the Baylor Bears. 11 is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Number 10 is Notre Dame. Number 9 is Wake Forest. Number 8 is the Oklahoma Sooners. Number 7 is the Wolverines from Michigan. Number 6 is those Bearcats from Cincinnati. Number 5 would be Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 4 is the Oregon Ducks. Number 3, the Michigan State Spartans. Number 2, the Crimson Tide of Alabama. And unsurprisingly, number 1 is the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, these rankings are awful. I mean, I know, as Davis has said during the breaks when we've talked about it, that this is what he expects, so he's not very surprised. But these stand out particularly awful for a number of reasons. One, the idea that San Diego State and Fresno State, both with a loss, are in the top 25 while UTSA, undefeated in the Conference USA, are out, is completely ridiculous because the CUSA and Mountain West are not very different, honestly, in terms of their competition, especially this year. Boise State's not good this year. For one example, because that's always the holdover, right? But I mean, just it really is ridiculous. I'm looking at San Diego State's schedule, for example. They are 4-1 or they're 3-1 in the conference. Fresno State's also 4-1 in the conference. Fresno State lost by 3 to Hawaii. Hawaii's 4-5. San Diego State, on top of the loss by 10 to Fresno State, they beat Air Force by 6. Air Force is a decent team, 6-2. And then they also beat a San Diego State team or San Jose State team in double overtime, 19-13. San Jose State is a 5-4 team. That doesn't make any sense. But the worst one, in my opinion, is not Alabama at 2. A friend of mine who's a Bama fan said that I should not care about the rankings because they all have to win out to prove they deserve it or not. Which I'm like that's fair. But this right now shows the committee's thinking. And what the heck is the deal with Mississippi State at 17? I don't understand why. They have a loss to Memphis, a terrible Memphis team, mind you, and they lost to them. They have bad losses to LSU, who is terrible this year, and a 40-point loss to Alabama at home. It wasn't like they were in Bryant-Denny and got whacked. That happens to everybody. They were in Starkville with the Cowbells, and they got annihilated. It was not close.
That's correct. But they did beat Kentucky and A&M.
They did. Because apparently the committee believes Texas A&M is the greatest football team to have ever walked the earth. For whatever reason. Because A&M is not very good either, mind you. And with all this in mind, where the heck is Arkansas? Legitimately. Arkansas's 3 losses are to Ole Miss, Auburn, and Georgia. 3 ranked teams, 3 very highly ranked teams, mind you. And
they seem like they should be a Mississippi State spot.
Exactly, because Arkansas beat Texas A&M.
Right.
And since apparently, according to the committee, Texas A&M is the greatest football team that's ever been seen, seeing as Alabama's lost Texas A&M means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And what does Arkansas's 10-point win against Texas A&M mean? And Mississippi, it's a terrible rankings.
It boggles the mind.
It really does. And not to mention, on top of that, you almost got to question, like, just what the logic is behind any of it. Behind Cincinnati being at 6, despite the fact that where's the strength of schedule argument? Because Michigan State and Michigan's strength of schedule is ballooned by playing each other. Because outside of playing each other, they have played very weak schedules across the Big Ten.
Right.
So why is Oklahoma at 8? What is Cincinnati doing at 6? They have a top 10 victory over Notre Dame in South Bend. South Bend is not the most hostile environment on the planet, but there's a reason Notre Dame wins a lot there. They do. They do not lose in South Bend often. People always make the joke about the Georgia takeover, whatever. They don't lose in Notre Dame often, and they did. And they didn't look good doing it either. Cincinnati was dominating them the majority of the game. I mean, it just doesn't. None of it makes any sense to me. Oregon sitting at 4, despite the fact that they lost to a bad Stanford team. I love David Shaw. I love what he's done with that program in the past. They're not good this year, and they lost to them. I'm baffled by some of the decisions because there doesn't seem to be any clear line of logic with any of it. There's not any one thing that makes any sense to it at all.
Yeah, I can't figure out what their thought process is.
What is the system?
Coming in, yeah, it just seems. I mean, do they release the who voted what like they do for the AP
No, they
poll?
don't. They have the committee chair go on ESPN and explain and defend his decisions. Problem is he's a moron and has mostly said rather ridiculous things dating back to last year. There's a great article done. I think it was. Let me check who wrote it again, just so I can mention it. But it was done about why last year's committee rankings made no sense because Florida lost to LSU in games at home, and they dropped 1 spot. LSU was 3 and 5 at the time. They were. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a bit baffled. Obviously, it's the first one, so there's no precedent. I guess we're just going off what the AP poll has been saying for the previous portion of the season. So there's no precedent, and maybe if the standings don't wildly change after a major shakeup, we can really start raising some issues with the playoff committee. But at this point, I think the playoff committee is trapping them. I mean, they really are pushing themselves into a corner to expand the playoffs if they're not going to let the on-field performance determine who gets in the top 4. They're going to have to expand the playoff to let people in.
Completely.
I don't see Cincinnati getting into the playoff unless they get expanded at this point.
Exactly.
If they're going to put up such a big roadblock.
And let me be clear on this. There's all the jokes made about the 2017 UCF team. If Cincinnati goes undefeated and doesn't make the playoff, they have a legitimate claim at the national championship. They scheduled a top 10 Notre Dame team on the road, and they played them, and they beat them. And right now, it doesn't make any sense to me because you're looking at the Big 12 right now in the rankings. They've got Oklahoma State and Baylor, right? As I'm looking down the list. Oklahoma has to play both those teams. Oklahoma will probably beat both those teams. In which case, if by the committee's logic, can you really make an argument that Oklahoma should not jump Cincinnati at that point? Because strength of schedule, guys, that's what matters. Because Mississippi State has beaten one ranked team, so they're in. Texas A&M has existed, so they're in. Right? Arkansas, it just doesn't make any sense to me because Arkansas plays Mississippi State this week in Fayetteville. Arkansas is probably going to whack Mississippi State legitimately by 20, I bet. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to really drop Mississippi State 8 spots out of the rankings?
They should have. They should.
They should, but the point is they shouldn't be in there in general.
They shouldn't, so they should acknowledge their mistake and drop Mississippi State out of the poll.
Not to mention UTSA not being in while Minnesota is in. I get it, strength of schedule. You're in the Conference USA. You're not a great conference.
I mean,
right?
the cynical in me says that they put Mississippi State ranked just to give Alabama another ranked win to justify them jumping up to 2.
Exactly. I think that's completely it, and that is completely the reason.
But I mean, at that point, why put them at 17?
Exactly.
Put them at 24.
They're not good, and they've lost to bad teams. They've lost to an LSU team that is firing their coach. LSU is not in a down year. LSU is firing their coach. None of it makes clearly the point is the committee believes Texas A&M is a top 2 team that's just had some bad losses because every team that's beaten them is good. I mean, if Auburn plays Texas A&M, they play Texas A&M this week, right?
Yeah.
If Auburn beats Texas A&M in College Station, I better see Auburn in the top 4 because evidently Texas A&M is the greatest football team ever. But then looking at Minnesota, right? Minnesota has a 4-point loss to Scott Loeffler's Bowling Green.
Your favorite.
With head coach Scott Loeffler and defensive coordinator Brian Van Gorder, who retired because he sucked at his job. Just kidding, that's not why. He retired and went to actually coach at Gulf Shores near our hometown, actually. That's not why. I got some beef with Van Gorder. But the point being, how can that team be in 20? Because UTSA has not lost to the Bowling Greens of their conference. They're not in the MAC, but I mean, there's Bowling Green level teams in the CUSA.
Yes, there are.
Is the committee just trying to remind the CUSA that they need to, collapse?
Just get it over with.
Is that the point? Because if that's the point, then why is it a political decision? UTSA is undefeated. Put them in. I'm not talking about being in top 15. Don't put them in the top 15. But they should be top. They should be in the
22.
Yeah, exactly. They should be where San Diego State or Fresno State. They should be where Minnesota is.
Considering they haven't lost and San Diego State has. Lot to get to here on the College Football Playoff Committee talk. We'll see if we can rank them better on the other side of a break as it is November, so it is time to talk about teams that control their own destiny, or maybe not, considering the way that the Playoff Committee has been ranking in the past years. So keep it right here on Compact Discourse. We'll be right back.
In Alabama, the recycling industry employs nearly 11,000 men and women. Recycling just 10% more would create an additional 1,400 jobs and $66 million in personal income. To learn about recycling opportunities in your area, contact the East Alabama Recycling Partnership. Recycling works in Alabama. Brought to you by the East Alabama Recycling Partnership, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Hi, I'm Harrison Smith. You may know me from my work as Scuba, one of the hosts of the hit award-winning show Nerdcore on WEGL 91.1 FM. But what you may not know about me is that I'm a website enthusiast. That's why I'm here to tell you about WeagleFM.com. It's our hotspot on the web with live broadcast articles and more. It's like a gift that keeps on giving. Tune into your favorite shows at any time with a 24/7 online stream right on the homepage. And don't forget to check out the schedule for our station's full selection of music, sports, and talk shows. For the sports fans, there's articles aplenty covering all of the current events in football, basketball, and beyond. For those music fans, WEGL FM has got you covered. We have album and concert reviews and theme playlists for any mood. We even have live musical performances with WEGL Sessions. There's more than enough content here to keep you procrastinated when you really should be studying for that test. That's right, we know you've been slacking off. Get back to it, lazy. So, no matter what sound you're looking for, we've got it only on WeagleFM.com. That's WEGLFM.com and WEGL 91.1 FM, Auburn.
1 in 5 people in the U.S. have an STD, and many people have no symptoms. Do you know your status? Alabama residents and students attending Alabama colleges and universities can request a free at-home test for chlamydia, gonorrhea, HIV, and syphilis to be mailed right to your door. Go to adph.mybinks, that's binxhealth.com. Again, it's mybinkshealth.com. The kit is free and confidential. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Public Health, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I am your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Alex Houston and Davis Carroll. We are talking the new college football playoff rankings that came out last night. If you were watching that instead of the Atlanta Braves game, you saw that we have not a new number 1, but a new number 2, and a bunch of other interesting picks down the stretch as some teams we have not seen in the poll in a while have made a dramatic reappearance, and some teams we haven't seen in the poll at all have made a dramatic appearance. So,
Yeah, it really is kind of jarring just to look at it all. I got a little heated earlier about the Bowling Green. I must apologize to the Bowling Green fan base, all of them. I guess I don't know how many fans there are, but I think the committee can only be saved by chaos at this point, because let's just assume it all goes to be expected. Michigan State or Ohio State wins the Big Ten. They're probably going to face off in the championship game, because I don't believe Michigan State plays Ohio State this year.
They're in the same division, so they will.
Oh, they are?
They're both the East.
I always forget that's how the Big Ten is set up. So, all right, assuming one of those teams wins the championship, so put in the Big Ten team. Oregon probably going to win out because the Pac-12 is not good. Put them in, right? SEC champion, and then legitimately, if Alabama beats Georgia or Georgia beats Alabama, can you really drop either one of those teams out of the top 4?
Depending on how that game goes. I mean, if it's 38-0, then
true, but I don't think it will be. So then you've got those 4. And those 4 will be in, and Cincinnati will likely be on the outside looking in, which is horrible. They can only play the people that are on their schedule, and they still went out of their way to schedule Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
And they should deserve credit for that and credit for winning. And they're not getting it right now. And it really is ridiculous. Not to mention, how about Houston not being in the top 25?
A
7-1 team.
I found, no American Conference teams made it in, which I found to be, or other than Cincinnati. Any of the other one, the SMU or Houston, I would have been fine with either of them showing up.
To be quite frank, I found it very convenient, isn't it? Cincinnati can't have top 25 wins if you don't rank their opponents. Seems very, very convenient for the playoff. I mean, honestly, I like Wake Forest. I don't think they should be ahead of Notre Dame yet. They haven't really played anybody in the ACC, and they've played a lot of close games. If Notre Dame's one loss to a top 10 team, I don't think that's a detriment to them. I think they should be at 9. But it seems very convenient. Not to mention, what the heck is going to happen with Oklahoma if they win out? I really don't know what's supposed to happen right now.
Yeah, because Oklahoma, I mean, I think they're rightfully so at 8. They haven't been a very convincing team. I mean, they have basically the same win over Tulane that Cincinnati has.
I agree, even their win was closer. I agree that they should be lower, but the point is it doesn't make any sense based on where other teams are.
Yeah, I really don't know what kind of precedent the committee. It seems like the committee might be, I don't know what the term for it is, but they might just be getting too overly aggressive with trying to get it right, but they're overcorrecting and doing too much. They're trying a little too hard is what it seems like. In fact, I don't know their thought process at all, so we shall see.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting process, and again, with Oklahoma having Oklahoma State and Baylor on the schedule, I mean, they will probably jump, and if they win out, they should probably jump into the top 4 based on having those ranked wins. I don't really see. Yeah, it's just. It's gonna get a little chaotic down the stretch with how these rankings go.
I think it needs to get chaotic to save this season.
Exactly.
They're taking a very fun season and making it very not fun with these rankings.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I mean, I think there's certainly opportunities for that with a lot of these teams and a lot of great teams. I think they're in here that could certainly jump up. But if we finish the season and UTSA is undefeated and they're not inside the top 20, they're sitting at 24. I think then I'm gonna be a little upset. I get it. Schedule's weak, but
I mean,
they win the games.
Wake Forest is undefeated, so they obviously take stock in not having a loss, even if your conference is very weak, which it makes the decision to keep the Roadrunners out of the poll entirely completely even more baffling, because
absolutely,
I think Wake Forest is ranked higher than even they are in the AP poll. I think they're 10th in the AP poll.
Yeah, I believe they were, actually. Let me go double check on it now.
They don't really have any great wins.
They are. They're 10th behind Michigan, and Notre Dame is actually up to 8th.
Because they're in the ACC.
Exactly, and the conference is not good. The CUS, now obviously the ACC is better than the CUSA, but I mean, right now looking at their crop of opponents, Old Dominion, Norfolk State, Florida State, Virginia, Louisville, Syracuse, Army, and Duke, not exactly world beaters.
No.
They beat Syracuse in final overtime. They beat Louisville by 3. I mean, they let Army score 56.
Virginia might be the best team on their schedule.
Exactly.
They played.
And I love Virginia, and I love what Bronco Mendenhall is doing at Virginia in terms of building up that program, but they're 6-3. And that was also early in the season when they struggled. They struggled a lot early in the season. They lost to North Carolina by 20 points.
Yep.
I mean, the fact is you got to get credit for beating I mean, you got to get credit for beating the teams that you play on your schedule, and it seems like it's more like you apparently get more credit for losing to teams on your schedule because the committee thinks they're good.
That seems like it's the case. You can't really win yourself into a spot. It seems like you just pick your best loss and use that to catapult yourself into a spot.
Seems like it.
Man, I thought this was supposed to fix football.
Yeah, I think we're nearing the point where the fact is you're never going to have a perfect system because you're going to have a computer that does too many numbers and not enough watching the game, or you're going to have a group of people. And a group of people who have inherent biases. Half these people worked for previous universities in the Power 5, conveniently, right? So I think you're never going to have a perfect system, but this is certainly not even close to it. At what point is the AP poll not better than this? The AP poll has a bigger crop of people. Yeah. Rather than 13 individuals who clearly don't know what they're doing, to be honest.
The AP poll might just be the best bet moving forward.
It's just like the Oscars.
I mean, I think what you need is if you're going to have such an awful imperfect system, you need to have a larger tournament.
Oh, absolutely.
Four teams for a bad system. That's why the March Madness happens, because they know they don't have a perfect system.
You can't have
They give 64 teams a chance. Not 64 for college football. Sorry, go on.
You can't have more power conferences than you have spots to play, you know? What happens if there's an undefeated conference champion in all 5 major conferences?
Exactly. It's never happened, but when it does, it'll be in trouble.
Yeah,
Also,
I mean, if 2000...
I have to go, unfortunately.
You're leaving? All right, well, I think that's a great time to end the show. So at this point, I would like to remind everybody that the WGO crew will be hanging out on the concourse for the next 4 hours, if you can believe that. So from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. here on the campus of Auburn University, you can hang out with the WEGL crew and tell us your favorite song, and you can be a part of the magic here at WEGL. We'd love to hear from you. So also, if you want to talk to us here on Compact Discourse, you can always tweet at us at CDiscAU. We will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. for some sports, getting ready to talk about Auburn versus Texas A&M. We'll also get some other people's opinions on the new playoff rankings and much, much more. And any closing thoughts you have for today, Davis?
Go 1-0.
Go 1-0 indeed. And go Braves, relish it, drink it in. Probably won't happen again for a while. So it's going to be a great week, and we're going to continue to have a great week and enjoy the weather and have a wonderful fall afternoon as we get along with everything. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. However you joined us today, whether that be from your radio antenna from WEGLFM.com or by listening to our podcast, we would like to remind you that all of our previous episodes are available as a podcast wherever podcasts are heard. Just search for Compact Discourse and look for that orange and blue logo. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at CDiscAU, that's CDISCAU, for links to that podcast if you want information about the show and important updates about the show. You can also tweet at us to get your voice on the show and join the conversation. We are, of course, Auburn's only student-run morning drive time show. You might want to go ahead and follow the station at WEGL_AU on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our dedicated team of marketing professionals is working hard to provide you high-quality content for fans of the station. And with that, for Jack Hart, Alex Houston, and Davis Carroll, this has been another exciting episode of Compact Discourse. We will talk at you on tomorrow, Thursday morning at 8 a.m. And this is Jack Hart signing off. As always, War Eagle, go 1-0. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you on the concourse.
WEGL, baby. WEGL, baby.
In Alabama, the recycling industry employs nearly 11,000 men and women. Recycling just 10% more would create an additional 14